Dear colleagues, good evening. Thank you for joining. Let's start our today's seminar. The speaker is Yash Madhwal, research scientist from Skolkovo Institute of Science and Technology, with the topic about Web3 prototype from idea to demonstration. Yash, the floor is yours.
Okay, thank you, and good evening, everyone. Thank you for having me in today's seminar, where I'll be presenting the today's session on Web3 prototyping, like from ideas to demonstration. So in this talk, we will be looking into blockchain for sure, like from the perspective of process of creating and publishing papers, more specifically talking about the demo papers. Uh, I'm Yash Madhwal, and I'm a research scientist in Skolkovo Institute of Science and Technology. And my area of research is on the blockchain domain. Specifically, my PhD has been towards implementation of blockchain and making applications towards the supply chain and solving different type of supply chain based problems. So this session's talk will also be related towards the demonstration of the applications that I have been working on. And also we will look into the ins and outs of what demo paper publication in overall blockchain domain is, and that is from idea to the final demonstration that we do in the presentation part of the conferences, for example. We will be looking into involvement in writing and publishing demo paper, and also different ways like how you can present it in some conferences. This is the overview that we will be talking. We'll be talking about publications, about demo papers, and looking into some different types of examples. So first of all, what is publications in general, and why do you need one? So publication is a formal record of research, of publishing your research findings. That definitely goes peer-to-peer reviews, depending on where you have applied, and before it turns into a formal document, which defines all your work that you have done. So what is the overall purpose that you would like to do publishing? So first of all, to share knowledge. That means to communicate the new communicate and to show your new discoveries in theories and like advancement to your specific domain. To validate your research, because whenever you write some publications, you make it go through a peer and a scientific review that definitely goes through rigorous scrutiny. And if your research is valid and the people who are reviewing your work find it worthful, then your work definitely gets academic recognition. And also, one of the purpose could be to have improvement on the existing knowledge that you have for existing knowledge in that exists, to just have a better version of what you think. So these are some ideas for why you could have publications. There are different type of publications. So for example, you have a journal-based publication, you have conference-based publications, and there are different publications like, long paper, short paper, posters, demos, there are book chapters, and so on. So these are few of the reasons and ways like how you can make a publication. Now, talking about the publication indexing in terms of journal or conference paper, have we talked about? There are publication indexing in general involves categorizing and organizing the academic and scientific publications within database based on various criteria like subject area, the number of citation counts, and so on. So having indexed your publications, this process definitely enhances the visibility and accessibility of your scholarly work, and and this publication index can be indexed by into different categories. For example, there is Scopus indexing, there is Web of Science indexing, there is Nature, there is Russian Scientific Citation Index, RINIC, if I'm not mistaken. In Russian, it is pronounced as. Okay, talking about journal rankings. So the journal rankings are usually uh, classified as into quantiles and quartiles. So quantiles and quartiles are statistical measures that are used to divide the publications into different data sets. So quantile divides the journal into into the portion based on the citation counts. For example, if a journal is in the top 25 citation counts among all the journals in that field, that type of journal publication directly qualifies for the quartile one, which is known as Q1, which is the top quartile of its representation. And the quartiles are divided into 4 parts, which is known by Q1, Q2, Q3, and Q4. And as said, based on the number of citations count that it has, the Q1 and Q2 are kind of considered to be good quartile classification of any journal. The impact factor based over here, the impact factor is just a numerical measurement that indicates average number of citations that has been received by an article published in a journal over the specific period of time. For example, usually 2 to 5 years, it is the specific period of time it is considered that is used to, based on what the impact factor is calculated, is to check the number of citations it has received. So these journals are also classified into scientific journal rankings, and also Scopus and Web of Science, they are indexed into it. Then goes the conference ranking. So for that, what we call, it's like a core conference ranking, which is in short known as CCR, is a system that evaluates and ranks academic conferences based on their quality and reputation within a specific field. So these core rankings are categorized into different tiers. So you have A star, A, B, C, and others. So based on the year 2023, so out of 803 total conferences that were ranked, only 7.47 were A star, 14.45 was A, 27.77 was B, 47.2 was C, and others like 164 were categorized into it. So how usually the core ranking is done, it's kind of not clear from my perspective also, but definitely they have their own selection criteria. They have their own data collection. Then based on the selection criteria and data collection, they evaluate and they review and validate, and therefore they categorize the type of conferences into core ranking. It is quite common and usual to not to be able to find a type of conferences that you are willing to apply, not listed in the core ranking, which is quite fine in some cases, but it usually takes some time that eventually the ranks does get in, the conferences do get some core ranking. Right. And second type of rankings is the Brazilian Ministry of Education ranking, which is ERA, which directly classifies the conferences into A1, A2, B1, B2, B3, B4, and B5. So here, based on the color code scheme that you have on your right, you can see and automatically it indicates that which type of core ranking is quite better. So if we take the Russian case study in sense like the Russian universities, for example, if we talk about the Spoltech Institute where I work, so they consider Nature Index, which is top 10% of SJR, and also they consider core A star conferences for a good level of publication. In terms of computer science faculty in HSC, they have their own internal university list. And they have, for sure, Q1, Q2 by SJR, Scopus and Web of Science should be there, and also for A star and A. But it is very interesting to know that even though some conferences do lie within the Q1 or Q2 category by SJR or Scopus and Web of Sciences, they may not qualify into the own internal universities list. For example, a conference like BCRA is a Q1, but they usually do not qualify well within the scope of HSC's university list. They lie in the rank C category. I have no idea why, because HSC might have their own internal criteria of selecting such type of making such type of ranking. Right. So talking about the Russian Science Foundation, so Russian Science Foundation also have its own type of preferences of journal publications. So definitely they should be in Q1, Q2, which is by Scopus or Web of Science. They have their own Russian indexing, which is the RENIX, which is Russian Scientific Citation Index. It should lie within that, right? And also should have a good impact factor by Scopus and Web of Sciences. Now, let's till this point we have been talking about the overall explanation of how publication things are there and what a categorization in it are there and so on. But when we talk about from the perspective of blockchain research, blockchain, okay, by this time I would not completely say that blockchain is a new field. It has been there for quite many years, 15 for sure. So, but still, from some perspective, we can say that blockchain is relatively new um, in terms of existing conferences, in terms of specific journals dedicated to it, and so on. Even though, like now, we can see that there are journals specifically dedicated towards blockchain research. There are conferences specifically dedicated to blockchain research, and so on. But they might be very limited choice to have into top Q1 or like core A conferences, and so on. So, if we talk about journals perspective, let's say Ledgers, it has been existing since 2016, and there is the Journal of the British Blockchain Association since 2018. Both of them are into this Web of Science Index, and quite recently, since 2020, blockchain journal like Blockchain Research and Application, which is known as BCRA in short. They have been categorized into Q1 category, and definitely they are Scopus indexed. As of conferences, our personal favorite conference is IEEE conference of ICBC, which is um, I think International Conference on Blockchain and Cryptocurrency, if I'm not mistaken. Suddenly, anyways, maybe yes, that is the one. It has been happening since 2019, which is Scopus Index, but unfortunately, as of now, it is Core C. Again, like mentioned before, uh, conference the conference categorization of the core conference categorization, they have their own internal process, which is, in my opinion, not public, and I'm not sure about it. So they have right now categorized it into core C, but based on the level that they have, I personally feel that it is quite good conferences. It is not an advertisement per se, but just like as of experience, I am sharing it. Then there is conference of IEEE coins. It is also from 2019, which is also Scopus indexed. Here on the right side, you can see the justification provided by core CR that why they have marked it to be rank C. Okay, so this was the perspective if we talk only from the blockchain journals and conferences, but definitely research on blockchain does not limit us to have only these options. Definitely, you can spread out your research to a wider scope of journal. For example, you can publish and have definitely IEEE access, because we have already our paper published in IEEE access talking about blockchain's application and blockchain's uh, research-based, core research-based work, yes. So we have published over it. So it will be definitely not right to say that blockchain does not have very limited options. There are options, but as long as you fall within their own specific category, it's fine to publish. Conferences nowadays, since they're evolving, they are definitely looking and are open to have their own blockchain-based tracks. So there are many conferences which specifically dedicate some sessions and some tracks for blockchain research, and there are conferences uh, which are open to do such things. Okay, so yes, so there are specifically in conferences, there is workshop tracks, there is full presentation tracks, and there is demo tracks. So the usual format demo tracks is from 2 to 4 pages. It depends from conference to conference, how many pages they have. So for example, ICBC have only 2 pages, including the references. ICDCS conference, they have 4 pages of demo track. So it's show and tell format, or I would also say sometimes like it's more of like a one-on-one interaction, because during the conference demo track, unlike the paper presentation, you have a full auditorium of audience who will be sitting and listening to you. But rather in a demo sessions, when you're presenting the demo, your demo equipment, for example, let's say some demonstration you're providing, there is more of one-on-one interaction where uh, they can ask you, you can tell, and so on. More of like a conversation-based presentation, I would say. Uh, right. Uh, so yes, there are different venues that you can have. So yes, I think I'll not go much into it. So like venues themselves, like there are conferences who have demo tracks and which are also ranked. So uh, this international conference for data mining, which is core A, they do have a demo track where you can present. You have this ICDCS, uh, International Conference on Distributed Computing. They are core A, and ICBC for sure. They are core C, unfortunately, as of now, but it's they have a dedicated demo track to tell. Okay, so what is a demo paper? As a definition says from the internet, that demo papers allow participants to show their latest developments and interact with the conference attendees in an innovative and informal way. The format of presentation is usually improved through the use of demo and mockup and any adapt format in their own choice. Right. Excuse me. So yes, during this presentation, usually tell is that you have an accompanying document. That means you will have your own full demonstration paper, which will be defining what product you have. It is very different from scientific paper that you present. In the next slide, I have told more in detail what exactly are scientific papers and comparison with the demo track paper. Here you give a very concise view. You tell more of the outer product that you're presenting instead of the inside the scene, that how each and every part is functioning, but rather you present a full product as a whole. Uh, so you then submit to the conferences. They usually can have your papers, demo papers into the proceeding. You provide the context of how all this thing is working, and then definitely you're describing your own prototype of what exactly it was that you decided to do. So this is an overview of how you can differentiate the scientific paper from a demo paper. Uh, First of all, you can categorize into purpose, content, evaluation, and audience that you have. The scientific papers will have more of a research findings, and the experiments or analytical studies, all these things that you have done and used, you will be including it into a scientific paper. And comparison to the purpose, the demo paper directly tells the practical implementation, that how this demonstration that you're presenting is actually going to be practically implemented. It's more of a prototype representation or the tools that you have developed to be shown. Now, as per content of scientific paper, the scientific paper is usually a big document. Well, it depends on the criteria and all. So you write an abstract, you write introduction, literature review, methodology, results, discussion, conclusion, maybe some more things in between. But as of demo paper, you just write a basic abstract of your full demonstration. Like you will be telling what is your system architecture, what is your user interface, what is the different type of tools and architecture that you use to make your product, for example. Evaluation process in scientific paper is little hard, but please don't quote on my words that in demo paper it's little less rigorous, I would say. Please don't quote on this. Uh, so yes, they have their own evaluation criteria for scientific paper. They have their own evaluation criteria for demo paper. But as per experience, I would say scientific demo papers are little easy to be accepted comparing scientific papers. Like yeah. Uh, Okay, as of audience, as mentioned before, like usually when you're presenting a scientific paper, you have a full auditorium or maybe a hall or stadium, maybe, to have your scientific paper produced. And as a demo paper, it's mostly usually one-on-one conversation because you are present and you answer the question as and everything in comes up during the process. Okay, so this is a very simple example of comparison of scientific paper and demo paper. This is exactly talking about the same paper. Here you can see like a very small icon here and here, like they are same icons and so on. But here, if you zoom, the only difference that you can see is here you have a UI also, which can be seen. But here the UI usually is not shown because of, let's say, probably because of limitations that you have to present everything, because you want to spend more space. You want to have more space in describing the actual technicality instead of just telling the overview of it. So yes, so comparing 16 papers excluding the author, 16 and 2, so it's like a quite big difference that you can have between the both scientific and demo papers. Now, talking about development and documentation. So yes, from the blockchain perspective, you identify a use case, you define the objectives that your use case should have, you design the architecture, then you make the smart contract, the you test the system, you deploy to the test net. Let's say if you're talking only about if you're talking only about prototype, because there is no point of deploying it to the mainnet. If we're talking only about the prototype level, you make the application and then you launch the application and then you do all the documentation of this thing that you have done in very concise and to the point manner, and then you apply, you accept, get accepted, and you're free to publish. Now, talking about the development of demonstration, so this is what the Web3 development decentralized application stacks looks like overall. You have a blockchain part, you have the application part. The blockchain uses your traditional Solidity as a programming language for smart contracts. You can use Viper and other tools also. But I'm talking from the perspective of what I use, and I assume that majority of people are also doing the same. So you have a blockchain, and then you make the application using for the front end, and then you can launch your application on either chain, either Binance, Test Chain, Ethereum, Polygon, whatsoever your choice. You can use any wallet connect, whatever you want. MetaMask is the most common, the traditional one, so that's why I'm sticking to this. You have API calls between blockchain and your decentralized application, and then you can host it on the Firebase for easy and quick and free work. So first demo that I would like to talk about is talking about NFT Smash. This link is live. So if let me just copy it to and paste. I hope you can still see my screen. I assume yes. So here what we have is so here we made a demo paper of 2 pages. Our demo paper was a very basic explanation of what our application is. Well, a very brief, explanation of what our application is, but rather more of the explanation of what our application made of. In sense, like we did describe that we have how did we prepare data in very briefly, how we made our front end, and how we hosted our application. And based on this thing, we have 2 options that we can show for the demonstration. Is that NFT Smash gameplay you have, and there is an also option to search your NFTs rank. So we did not take into account all the explanation of how we uh, scripted the blockchain to get all the data of the trades and everything and all. We do not talk about in this paper how did we download, how did we prepare data, and so on, but rather we do link a source to the other papers that have been published, which are close to our work or which have been done in a similar way into for some other projects. We do link the sources. And during the presentation, like when we presented this work during the conferences, we had a simple excuse me. We had a simple laptop open in front of you where people could come and play the game. Well, playing the game is just an attractive way to show our product, but rather during their gameplay and whatever uh, they were doing, for example, you can click this thing and you have option to select. I'll just quickly go through it. Okay. Okay, anyways, so I get 1 out of 5. That's not the point. So during this gameplay, we explained that how we were able to collect all the data from the internet, how did we process the data, and how we made the front end application, what are the users, and so on and everything during the process of our demonstration. This is what we had been doing that time. The point of telling this thing that this information is although not present on the paper, it is just the way to tell that we have a demonstration in front of you and how we are working around it. Okay, so this was one of the projects. Second is the tokenized hydrogen fuel generation. So we have a full paper on it, approximately 16 to 20 pages, I don't remember correctly right now, which has full information of how the transportation service in terms of creation, conversion, and transportation of hydrogen fuel actually takes place. So in this scenario, what we have is like we have sources, renewable sources in uh, electrolysis plant who converts the renewable sources into hydrogen, and then you have a transportation entities that will be transporting your fuel from electrolysis to the dispensing centers, and further, which will be putting your fuel into the trucks, cars, and buses, depending on the criteria. So you have two types of flows. You have the information flows that you're flowing the information, and also there's the physical flow of it. Now, our co-author, one of the co-authors who belongs to this industry, he gave us all this data information that we should have that in order to create 1 kg of hydrogen, you should have amount of this much amount of water, this much amount of electricity, and so on. This is the overall workflow of how things look like. So you have production phase, distribution phase, and delivery phase. And here are some actors. So you have water grid, electrical grid, electrolysis fuel station, and vehicles. So these are the individual front end view that you have for for mm, for user interface to build to produce hydrogen and to transfer. I'll be showing you a demonstration in a while. So there are some smart contract specification of how did we do it. We have some own internal formulas of how to calculate the hydrogen production. And these are the steps that you see on the 8 steps of how you create hydrogen from water resources to the renewables provider to the filling station and so on. So before I go to demonstration, this was our demonstration. During the demonstration track, we had a poster of size A1. I think A1 is the correct size of it depends on the conferences to conference. So I think we had A1 printed out in paper, and all the steps that I showed you in the previous slide, we had all those information related to it. Unfortunately, I can understand that some text like over here and all is quite small, but this was supposed to be a big size. So when we had printed out this thing, it was quite reasonable to show. Now, for the demonstration, let me show you a quick demonstration of how this system application works. Unfortunately, we did not. Oops, sorry. Is my screen still visible? Yeah, I think. So unfortunately, during the demonstration, we did not have such opportunity to show this thing at a bigger level, but rather we had demonstration and conversation with the audience to just to show that how our system looks like in form of this yellow color and yellow and white and different colors paper. So let me just give me a minute and let me open the code of my. Right. So this is code which is probably very small in your screen. Let me just zoom it for you. I think should be enough size. Right. Okay. So what we have here is that this is a smart contract that we have written. I'll definitely not go into much technicality of it, but it is going to represent the same stuff what we have told the public over there, and also what I have just shown you in the slides. So you have a smart contract written in front of you, which has all the functionalities and all the workflow that how the system should work. And then I have written this smart contract in Hard Hat framework. Hard Hat framework is a framework to write, test, and deploy your smart contracts. And then we have the testing scripts. These testing scripts that I have in front over here is the workflow is the most important one. I would say that how the system should actually work and so on. So if I think my system works perfectly at this stage, I mean, there are no security bugs based on the quality, based on assuming I've considered all the security labs and all. If I think if everything is fine, I can test my smart contracts. I can go npx hard hat test. Yeah, npx hard hat test. And okay, some warnings, it's fine. It will take some time because I have a lot of tests that I have done. And based on the workflow that I'm defining, it will be testing my system. So this test is right now happening in the local network, but in future, it is just a way to simulate that how the testing at a bigger level can also happen. So just, I think it will take some 11 to 15 seconds as per my experience to happen. Yes. In the meantime, this is happening. Let me open let me open the link of how our application looks like. All right. Okay. In the behind the scene, we have also done the smart contract testing, and we have taken all the conditions and everything to test. uh, I can provide you the repository, and you can try and rerun the test and read it more in details. Now, these details of tests that you can see is definitely mentioned and considered in the part of security in our full paper, but definitely not, this is not considered in the part of the demonstration paper, because demonstration paper talks more about this section. That means the front end instance, like how system will work. So as said, there were 5 entities. So here, after connecting MetaMask, okay, I'm not the admin. So let me just switch to my admin account and show how okay, let me go okay first. Okay, so we talk about, no, not the IoT admin. All right, this is my account. Yes. So so right now it's just loading all the information that you should have. So here is my admin account, and this admin can change, not the address or that address, but water address in terms of wallet address. You can have electrical address, you can have fuel address, and so on. So let me show you a quick demonstration of how this thing works. So right now, what we're going to do, since nope, as per as per the slide, in order to produce yeah, in order to produce, excuse me. Mm, Yes, let's talk about this thing. In order to produce 1 liter of hydrogen, we require this much amount of water, this much amount of electricity. Now, let's produce 1 liter of 1 kg of hydrogen from water and electricity. So first, I need to convert to my water water wallet. Water wallet can be, I have lots of wallets. Oh, okay, water address. Right, let me just refresh my page and it will take some time to load. Uh-huh. So I'll open wallet. Right, so how much do we require to produce 1 liter of wallet? 10 point, let me just copy this thing for you. We will copy this thing and we'll paste it here. And we are going to mint it. Minting means, like, for sure, minting in sense, we have taken this much amount of water from the reservoir. Now we are digitally putting this information on the blockchain. So I'll just click mint, and our window pops up to show the MetaMask demos. Well, MetaMask. I'll just confirm, and everything goes fine. And we will have, when the process is confirmed, I mean, written to the blockchain, we will have the amount of balance over here in liters directly right now. Right now, I mean, like, usually it's a fast process, right? So now you can see suddenly we have this much. Now let's do one thing without wasting time. Let me take this much amount and transfer it to the electrolysis station. So I'll click, it will quickly go. to transfer to electrolysis station. Confirm. Okay, it will. I know the system where it works very well. It will go there, so I will not waste time. And let me just do the same thing for the electricity. Electricity address. Right, let the page load for us quickly. Let's go to electricity page. Okay, we have zero electricity and we need, I think, 55. Yeah, we need 55. So I will, instead of putting point, I'll just put 55. Let me mint it and we will have the same process like that of water. Yeah, sorry for this quiet muting, unfortunately. So yeah, in the meantime, our balance of 55 kilowatts is also done. Now, let's do one thing for the final stage. Now, quickly, let's create hydrogen. Till then, this is happening. Let me do this work for hydrogen also. And now, from the perspective of a hydrogen balance, we have already balance of water and balance. Oh, I did not transfer it. Let me quickly transfer it and come back to hydrogen's perspective page. For some reason, my MetaMask has decided at the moment not to work. Okay, fine, great. We are in same page with MetaMask, right? So it's working. Now, so we have uh, yes, electricity address, and let me connect back to electricity, connect MetaMask. Let me transfer all the 55 that we have. Let me transfer it to the electrolysis plant. Okay, in the meantime, it is happening. Let me also quickly switch back to hydrogen. Now let's connect to hydrogen, and you can see that we have amount of balance and electricity that we require. Now we can simply mint it, and now based on our smart contract calculation, it will be minting it successfully, and it will give us exactly 1 liter of what we wanted to have. So let's convert these two entities of this much amount and this much amount of electricity, and the balance that you will get will be exactly one based on the smart contract that we have this calculation over here as described. Uh, Described somewhere. Okay, as described pre-hand by how much it usually takes. Okay, so you have now 1 kg, so you can click on 1 kg and transfer to the fuel station, and fuel station will have 1 kg to further use it for fuel station to fill cars, bus, and trucks depending on the requirement. I will definitely not go towards that part, but I think I hope you understand what's going on till this point. Okay, right. Coming back to our slides. So yes, this was the demonstration that we showed to audience, but we did not include the complexity and the results in it. We did not put this information into the demonstration paper because it is supposed to be demonstration, and what we just showed was conveyed to the audience of what our system is usually doing. Right now, our second project that we will be presenting in coming time is on the IoT integration with the supply chain. So the overall idea was that you have IoT device integrated to the supply chain in terms of like the transporting devices, which will be constantly communicating with the, uh, which will be constantly communicating with blockchain to tell the status of your product over the period of time. So what do we have here? We have a sensor that will sense the information. You have Arduino that will take the information to the Raspberry Pi as a like a computing device, which will be communicating to the blockchain actually. So Raspberry Pi as the big prototype will be communicating wirelessly, but as of the demonstration, we use Ethernet cable. Unfortunately, I cannot show you the live demonstration because I have the devices, but I don't have the Raspberry Pi with me. And also I forgot to buy an electrical source for this Arduino device in my hand right now. Anyhow, if I get time, we'll record and share this video with you. So although this during the demonstration, we will definitely show this proposed device that we have. And apart from this thing, we will be showing the sensor track app that we have. Now, what is a sensor track app that we have? Again, we do have a full demonstration that we can show to you, including the testing, smart contract, and all. But for the sake of time, probably I will just avoid that part of demonstration for now, but rather directly show you the front end, because this is what we will be presenting when we will have an option to show this thing to the public. So you have this is an administrator's page. So you have a home page like admin page. You have you have a producer. The producer who has access to produce some information. They will put the information like where this some product has to be destined to, and they will give information to of the transportation. Transportation, that means the device which will be transport the cargo truck that will be transporting some device with some stuff in it, for example, that will be added over here. Now, there is a producer, there is a receiver when you want to receive, for sure, some option, but the most important thing is track. So if you put the product ID 1, for example, and if you click on track, I think, do we need MetaMask? No, I mean, MetaMask. Do we need? Yeah, okay, fine. We don't need anything. So if we have product ID 1, so here you can see that okay, now we have a better way to show all these things, but I'm talking about little old how to say, little old version where we have time in Unix, but now we have worked and fixed this thing, and this fixed version is there in demo paper. Right, so you can see the option like color green, yellow, and all. It is to show the not exactly a danger level, but rather zones like where red was not within the requirements, but rather yellow was somewhat close to not being into the requirements, somewhere in between. So I think we have only 5 products overall that we have worked and tested with, uh, and uh, uh, and so the track product is completely live. That means it is lively communicating with the blockchain. But you can see that after some time, it eventually stops, and this continuous live tracking of the product keeps happening between the production phase and the receiver phase. As long as the person has not received the product of some specific production ID for some continuous fixed amount of time, for example, in our case, approximately 20 seconds, we have communication from the IoT device to the blockchain that every 20 seconds it is communicating with the range value. Okay, there is more information that is involved in it, like how and what exactly value is calculated and being communicated. But that all information is included in the bigger paper. Bigger paper, I mean like more detailed paper rather than the demo paper. Demo paper is morely specifically talking about how the demonstration will work as it should work as. So, right. So this was a little longer process. So here we have more information comparing the other IDs. So let's say if we talk about ID number 3. Okay. Okay, yeah, it has very small information. Now, coming back to our slide. So yes, this was probably the last one. And now let's talk about the conference cost, one of the most important part, because when you're going for some conferences, you should have some spendings to do to pay for conference fees, airplane, hotels, and visas. Interestingly, as per my observation, probably I might be wrong, that when we talk about conferences fee, the conferences fee is usually same for all the tracks. What do I mean by all the tracks? Workshop is completely different thing. All the tracks, as in like the full paper, short paper, poster paper, or demo paper, they have a, how to say, early bird, late bird, and so on. Let's not talk about that, but rather they have the same price weightage for all these tracks. So demo paper and a full paper more or less will have, well, not more or less, in my experience, they have exactly the same price overall. So if you have a conference in Moscow, usually you have only tens of thousands of prizes, because assuming you have your own home, an apartment, and car troika to travel, you don't have to spend more money, but rather to just focus and pay for the conference presentation, only 10,000. Online, it depends. Again, from conferences to conference, but you can say for online, you have 50,000 that you can spend. If you go to Xi'an, China, which has 2 hops in airplanes, so it's little more. Dubai, as the name suggests, it's Dubai because it's more expensive, but Ireland, because it's British, probably that's why the traveling and all and conference fees can go up to this much range. Again, it's not fixed amount, but it is a rough and average amount based on experience that we have seen and traveled around. So this is what we can say, that this is what you spend when you go for a demo presentation, right? Uh, all conferences have a no-show policy. That means if you don't come and present your work, sorry, your paper will not be published into any of the proceedings, right? So yes, that's it from my talk overall. These are my links to contact. And if you need any help with demonstration paper, I am there to definitely help you with it. So yes, open for your questions about general, uh, any questions around it. Thank you.
Thank you for your talk, Yash. Yeah, we have a few colleagues online. So now you are able to switch on your micro and video if you wish, or type your question in the chat. Meantime, maybe let me first of all mention that you compare demo papers to scientific papers. As for me, all the papers are scientific, but there are different types of scientific papers. So you rather compare to research papers.
Yes, really sorry for this word scientific paper. Actually, you're right. I'll fix this presentation and send it to you. What I meant by scientific paper was like the long papers that you usually have, which has more detailed description. So yes, all papers are demo papers, but I think I will change this word and fix the presentation and provide this slide to you.
Yeah, because as for me, among scientific papers, there are like the most common research papers. There are demo papers, and you were talking about demo papers today, but also there are literature reviews, systematization of knowledge, some positioning papers, which not presenting anything new, but rather tries to look ahead what will be our future in engineering and technology or something like that. There are also letters to editors sometimes if researchers, scientists find something wrong in other papers, they can write to editors and maybe to correct something or at least to argue with something. So there are different types of papers, and you were mentioning one of these types, which is a demo paper. Am I right?
Right.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly. This is what I wanted to do. Scientific paper means, yes, it can be categorized as a scientific paper, but I hope my explanation of scientific paper had to be more aligned to not a demo paper.
Okay, great. Dear colleagues, do you have any questions? Maybe a few from my side. So based on your experience, it is easier to be accepted to demo track, yeah? Am I right?
Well, exactly. I don't quote that it is easier, but it is little easier, I would say, comparing not scientific paper, like full paper. If you talk about, it is little easier, I would say. Obviously, please don't quote me on this thing that Yash says this thing. It's true, but it's my experience, personal experience that I feel.
Okay, no guarantees from your side.
Oh, no guarantees, definitely.
But as
No
you
guarantee.
mentioned at the end, if our colleagues are interested, they can contact you and you may share your expertise or your
Experience.
help.
Yes, experience and help, but I do not take this guarantee that it will be accepted. Yes.
Got
But
it.
and also, I wanted to tell that demo paper is more of, in my opinion, that more interesting to present because, first of all, it's your work that you're presenting, and to you, you will have more people and longer time to discuss and tell the work, and you will have more counter questions because people, like in terms of audience, there are like options for people to go, so they will definitely come if they are definitely interested to your work. Yes. You will definitely share some common interest and talk. Like it will be a two-way conversation of your presentation, but rather like one side and then Q&A that unlike other scientific conferences usually have. Yes.
Great. And yeah, in Web3 world, will it be correct to tell that most of the demo papers are software demos rather than hardware demos?
Not quite, because definitely when we were in Hong Kong demo track session, I did come across, and even in ICBC last year, during the demo track, I did come across the hardware projects also that people were definitely showing the full equipment that they got with them. Not in terms of only an Arduino, but rather they got a full small miniature of a house, which they were showing how the smart system of a house can also work with different light bulbs and all, for example. So yes, maybe there are more number of software applications because it's easy to carry, first of all, in your bag. Well, that's not the point to say, but yes, there are existing hardware projects also uh, at different scales, small scale and big scale. There where people actually get their stuff on luggages when they travel. Yes, not in bags.
Got it. Thank you. But yeah, maybe let's aware our colleagues from doing some big prototypes in hardware because they will face problems with AirPods and
Oh yeah,
custom.
customs. Right.
Got it. Thank you. Dear colleagues, any other questions? Okay, maybe last technical question from my side. Will you share the presentation with our community so that we will
Yes,
pay it in chat?
yes, Yuri, I will definitely share the presentation after editing a little bit based on our discussion Q&A. And if you are interested, I can also share with the demonstration code that if colleagues are interested, they can feel free to clone the repository and try on their own.
Feel free to share with me any links you want to share in announcement with recording, and we will share them with audience.
Yes, let's do that.
Okay, thank you for your presentation and have
Thank
good
you.
research ahead.
Thank you. Thank you for having me here. Have a good day. Bye-bye.
Bye.